We'll all find our seat together. And take this moment to take a big deep breath, and as you do, shrug your shoulders up to your ears as if to create the most length you can in your side body. And as you exhale, just release it out with a ha, just let it go. We'll do that a couple more times. So inhale, hugging those shoulders up to ears. And exhale, releasing it out. One more, inhale, shrugging shoulders up to ears. Exhale, release that out, let the eyes close, and let your attention move downward. You know what, I just realized I forgot my, I don't even know if I have it, my microphone. Hang on 1 second. Found it. Forgot to plug it in today. So as you're waiting, just breathe and let your energy drop. Let it drop down to your ground. One of the kindest things we can do to ourselves is just bring ourselves into the present moment. I saw, there's a poet named Nayyirah Waheed, I think that's how you say her name. And there's a poem, very short poem that she has that goes like this. So just listen with your whole body. And I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. And the body took a long breath and replied, I've been waiting for this my whole life. So just take a moment to befriend yourself with that deep breathing and that presencing and that setting down into those sit bones, the weight of the hips. Let that ground you as if they had 50-pound weights on them that just drew you down into earth. And from here, we'll just take our arms out to the side like a big T and lengthening up through the spine. We'll start to gently twist over towards the left. So don't let the arms lead you. Let the arms be somewhat neutral on your body, but keep lengthening up through the spine and take yourself into a gentle twist. When you get to the place where you're faced over your left leg, put your hands down on the floor and just bow forward. Little stretch there, and then keep your left arm on the floor, but sweep your right arm out to the side. And then take that arm and start to press it down towards the floor. Let the head drape down towards the floor, the opposite side, and just feel that stretch in through the side of the neck. And you're just stretching through the crown, and you're stretching away with your pointer and middle finger, thumb, ring, and pinky. Gentle stretch there for the neck. Good. And then release that hand back down to frame your knee. Lift the belly and roll yourself back up to sitting and take a cleansing breath. Good, and then you'll float the hands out to your T again. Start by lengthening your spine and using those muscles around the spine, start to turn yourself. It's not initiated by the arms. The arms are like the little icing on the cake. They just follow along that beautiful extended rotation. And then let the hands float down to frame your right knee and just bow over. And we'll take that right hand onto the floor and open the left arm up to the sky. A gentle little twist there and bow. And then take that left hand down towards the floor as you drop your head to the floor. And then start to stretch out in two directions till you feel that sweet stretch through the neck. Inhale there. And then exhale, frame that knee with your hand. Let your head drape down. Pick up the abdominals and slowly roll back up to center. And when you get there, just find that nice long spine that's been opened up just a little bit. Let your hands float into prayer. And make some sort of kindness offering today. And we'll offer that with a bow. Inhale, come on up to sitting tall. We'll breathe that in and seal it with the Om together. Inhaling. Beautiful. Release your hands and open your eyes. We're actually going to come up to standing. So you're going to stand on the front of your mat. I'm going to stand in the middle of my mat just so I can demonstrate a little bit better. And you're in Tadasana, so the feet are right underneath your hips. You're just going to close your eyes and start to rock forward until you feel the weight of your body on the fronts of your feet. And then you're going to rock backwards. And do that a couple more times, just rocking forward and backwards. So one of the things that I think is so important that when we work on kindness, that we realize the support that we have. And so we're feeling into the support of our bodies, the way they support us into our optimal alignment, and to the feeling of something underneath us, grounding us, supporting us. Come back to neutral so you feel the equal weight on your balls of your feet as the heels, and then bring your hands to your front, or to your ribs, so that your fingers wrap around the front and the thumbs wrap around the back. And you'll just start with very gentle rib rolls. So you're trying to keep the hips steady and the knees kind of soft so you can still feel the ground with your feet, but you just try to roll those ribs around. I've heard this called polishing the inside of a barrel. Let's see if you can polish the inside of a barrel. And loosening up these ribs helps our lungs a lot. We're going to move into a breath practice, so go the other way. And I want these ribs to be a little more open so you can feel that breath in its fullness. Come back to center. Release your hands down and begin to inhale for 4 counts. And exhale for 4. And then see if you can start to stretch that out. So maybe you inhale for 5. And you exhale for 5. And the optimal breath is 5.5 seconds, so try for 6. And exhale for 6. And then on the next one, I want you to pause at the top of the breath. So inhale for 6, or wherever it is that you are. And then pause until just before it gets uncomfortable. Exhale it out for 6, or the same count that you're at. So let's do that again. Inhaling. Pausing until it gets just before it gets uncomfortable. And then exhaling. So I'm going to leave you to that for a few moments on your own, because you know where you get comfortable, where you get uncomfortable. Last one. All right, blink open your eyes. We're going to combine that with movement. So you're You're going to rock out onto your left foot. That's the exhale. So let the exhale drop all the way down into that foot till it feels the earth. As you inhale, you're going to lift your right leg up for those 5 or 6 counts. When you get to the top, hold your breath until it's uncomfortable, and then exhale down for 5 or 6 counts. And when you get there, you just transfer your weight so that you can inhale the other leg up. And you try to work really slowly. And when you get to the top, you just hold the breath and feel the weight dropping down through that standing leg, and then you drop that foot down. Let's do a couple more like that. Inhaling. And when you get to the held breath point, see if you can look at one spot on the wall in front of you. Just take that in. And then exhale it down. Just feeling the transfer of the weight is really good for ankle and leg strength. Inhale to lift. Hold to focus, drishti, strong spine. Exhaling it down. Beautiful. We're going to do that with a walk. So we're at the front of the mat. So we're exhaling all the way through the right foot. As we inhale, we lift the left leg up. There's a little pause, and in that pause, we take the leg behind us. And then as we're ready, it goes down for 6 counts, maybe just like 6 inches behind us. We transfer the weight. There's a little pause there. And then we inhale, bring that leg up. So it's really a mindful moving meditation. And so the pause, then we get a little movement to prep for the next breath cycle. So we just keep breathing and transferring weight and stepping back towards the back of the mat, finding a steady gaze. And see if you can slow down and use every part of the breath. Inhaling, pausing, prepping for the next movement, which is an exhale. Here's our last one. Inhaling, pausing, extending the spine, exhaling. When that foot touches down, inhale, fly your arms overhead, and then let the hands come down onto the tops of the thighs as you roll the spine like through cow into cat. And then you press the hands at the tops of the thighs and you use cat, picking up your abdomen to come up. We'll go through that a couple more times. So as you exhale, the hands to the thigh and you move through cow tilt, arching the spine. When you get all the way down, knees are deeply bent, you pick up the belly, you push the hands down and you pull up through cat. Here we go, leading through the heart for cow, exhaling. Inhaling, picking up the belly, rolling up, head comes up last. Exhaling. Inhaling. One more. Exhaling. And coming up, inhaling. Beautiful. And then we reverse that. So we step as we exhale the next time. Put your weight on your left foot. Inhale the right leg up. There's a pause as we weight transfer. And as we exhale, we step on that right foot. As you inhale, the left foot comes up. Maybe 6 counts. There's a little pause as we start to transfer weight. And then we exhale. And then we keep going. Till we get all the way to the front of the mat. And feel that transfer of weight. Feel the bending. It's like you're walking, obviously, in slow motion. When you get to the very front of the mat, inhale for the last time. Pause, hold it till you're uncomfortable or just before then, and then exhale it down. The arms fly up. Inhale, look up. As you exhale, the hands come onto the thighs and you exhale all the way down. And they press down. You pick up the belly and roll up like a cat tilt. Exhale, cow, excuse me. Inhale, cat. 2 more. Exhale, cow. Heart moves forward. Thighs move back. Exhale, belly picks up. Last one. Exhaling. And inhaling. Beautiful. From here, fly the arms up overhead. We'll just pause here for a moment as if you were a conduit of kindness, just coming down through the body, dripping down all the way into earth. Feel the grounding. Then inhale, lengthen the spine. And exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Just feel that first stretch on your hamstrings. Have blocks if you're tight. Bend your knees if you're tight. Let your hands fall onto the floor and the head drapes down. Take another breath here. Beautiful. Walk your hands back up to your thighs. Bend your knees really deeply like Utkatasana, chair pose or fierce pose. And you press the tops of the thighs back as far as you can. And then from there, you lengthen through the spine. Try not to let those thighs move forward. They like to move forward into the sockets. We're training them today to stay back. It's very kind to our back when we do that. And then we push and we arch and we come up to standing. Exhale, release the breath. Here we go, fly. Inhale, look up. Exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana. Stay here for a couple breath cycles. Softening knees, feeling the feet and legs strong on the floor. Breathing deeply. And then from here, we inhale halfway up to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, hands on the tops of the thighs, Utkatasana. And you're just pushing and guiding those thighs back in their sockets. The belly picks up and we lengthen through the heart as we come up to standing. Exhale, release. Feel your feet on the floor. Inhale, fly. Look up. Exhale, dive. Uttanasana. Standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway up Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees and sneak your right leg back to a bent knee lunge. And then we'll just pause here. Let yourself catch up. Let yourself breathe. And let yourself notice, if you can, where the heads of the thigh bones are. I want you to get really, a good sense of kinesthetic feeling into those. So I know mine like to ride towards the front of the socket. So today it's all about teaching you how to be more, how to feel into them so that they're at the back of the socket. So bring your left hand up to your left thigh and I grab it like a C-clamp. So the thumb's on the inside and the fingers on the outside, and I grab that thigh and pull it back so that it sits back in the back of the socket. And just feel that for a moment. You can counteract that by taking the belly in and up and extending the spine. Beautiful. And then exhale, release that left hand to the floor. Inhale, back and forth. Come to standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Bend your knees deeply. Take your left leg back to a bent knee lunge. And again, just breathe or feel into that breath. Take your kinesthetic inner view and see where you can feel those thigh bones. And then take your C-clamp right hand, place it on the center of the right thigh and start to drag the flesh back until you feel that right hip back off a little bit. It'll back into its socket. Just feel that. And you might notice that you take a nice big deep breath as a result of that. That's what the body likes, so that's when it breathes deeply. And then you're going to stand your hands down onto the floor and you're going to step on back to plank pose. And take a moment in plank to feel your hips slightly lower than your shoulders, but your belly and your ribs moving up. Beautiful. And then listen carefully. You just drop your right knee to the floor. So now the knee and the hands look like a triangle. And then you turn your right palm, just turn it out to 2 o'clock. Your left foot goes flat to the mat, like as if you're doing warrior. And so now this is a version of side plank, an easy side plank. Now just open your left arm to the sky. And you're in side plank. So there's a little weight bearing on your right shoulder. If you would look at that right wrist and right shoulder and pull them back into the socket and then open up. So one thing that happens when we're weight bearing a lot is the shoulder likes to rock or roll forward. And that's a very difficult pose for the shoulder, not so good for it. So look down at that hand again, press into the hand and pull the shoulder to the back of the body so that maybe the shoulder blades will make what could look like a reverse cleavage, like you wanted to bring the heart forward there. Beautiful, and then release that. You're going to bring the left knee forward and just sit on back. So you give that right wrist a break, and you can just take your hands and just sweep them around and get into the wrists. Take a cleansing breath. Okay, we're going to do that same thing second side, so we get right into plank. So go ahead and step into plank so that your hips are slightly lower than your shoulders, but the belly ribs are lifting up. You extend down through your heels and out through your crown. Inhale. As you exhale, bring your left knee in so it looks like a triangle, the knee into the two hands. Turn your left hand out to 10 or 11 o'clock. Turn your right foot out so it's square to the side of the mat. And then open up your right hand to the sky, side plank. Look down at your left wrist, shoulder, and pull them back, and then open up again. And notice if you feel a little more twist there. So breathe, look at that wrist again, and pull it back. And so that you're almost making a reverse cleavage right in your shoulder blades. And then release that down. Bring the right knee forward, sit on back, interlace your hands, and roll your wrists around. That's a very kind way to do plank to side plank. So if we move farther in class today, you can go ahead and do that one if you want. That's a nice version. All right, so from here, we'll come to hands and knees, tabletop, toes tucked under. Inhale, look up for cow. Exhale, press back for downward facing dog. And look up at your hands for a moment and shrug your shoulders a little bit towards your ears and then plug your shoulders down into the sockets. Inhale to tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees and push back to a squat dog. So it looks a lot like dog, but your knees are bent. And here you can just pick up the belly, and you'll usually feel a lot of stretch through the spine. One more breath. Inhale to tippy toes. Exhale to downward facing dog. Take your slow walk and increase your breath practice as you walk to the front of the mat. Inhaling, exhaling, taking your time. Feeling the body standing down onto the floor, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Utkatasana, hands on your hips. Right away, press those thighs back, but lift the heart forward. And then inhale, come up to standing. Exhale, release the hands down. Inhale, fly your arms up overhead. Grab your right wrist and start to bow to the side. When you get just a little bit there, I want you to step out your left leg and bow even more and soften the standing leg so you really feel it on the floor. Squeeze the waistline that you're bowing towards and shrug the waistline that you're bowing away from. And then with both feet, press down to come up. And then exhale, step it in. Roll the shoulders, cleansing breath. Good, let's try second side. So inhale, fly, grab your left wrist with your right hand. Start to bow. As you do, you step the leg out to the side that you're bowing towards. and you squeeze that same side waistline, and you shrug the opposite shoulder. And then with both legs, you push down and come on up and release. Take a cleansing breath. Beautiful. So at the front of the mat, we inhale, fly our arms, look up. Exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, step your right leg back to a lunge. This time we're going to walk up onto the front leg. And you're going to keep your left hand on that front knee, and you'll press forward so that the abdominals will brace back. So that left hand presses down on the knee, tractions forward, and the abdominals kick in. Now I'm going to take my right hand and find my right booty. And I want to see that the right booty is active. There's a little awakeness there. And I'm going to grab it and lift it up a little bit. Just because that helps to bring the thigh bone back into its socket. I'm going to pick up my belly and just lift my heart up. And then release that on down. Frame the foot with your hands and rock it forward and back, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, take your left leg back to a bent knee lunge. Walk onto that front knee. Press the hands, especially the right one, down and traction forward. Feel the abdominals engage here. Then take your left hand to your left seat, your left booty, grab it. You're alone, so nobody knows that you're grabbing your own butt, and pull it and lift it. And that helps to bring that thigh bone into its socket. Take one more breath there. See if you can pick up your belly and lift your heart without losing that action. And then release it on down. Frame that front foot. Step on back to plank. Take a breath here, bringing the abdominals in, extending through heels and crown. As you exhale, drop your right knee to the floor. So it looks like a triangle between your hands and your knee. Anchor your back foot so it's flat to the short side of the mat. Look at your right shoulder and turn that right hand out. And as you pull that shoulder back, you're going to open your left arm to the sky. And you'll think about that little reverse cleavage so the heart can move forward. Beautiful. And then release that. Step the left knee forward to meet the right. Sit on back. Inhale, fly your arms up overhead. Interlace your hands. Take palms to the sky, stretch. See if you can bring your abdominals, your waistline in, everything in to stack around that long, beautiful spine. Really hugging into that central channel. And we'll try second side. So releasing hands down, step into plank. Take a breath here, bringing the abdominals in, extending through heels and crown. Good. Exhale, bring your left knee in. Turn your left hand out. Look at that left shoulder as you anchor your right foot. So keep that shoulder moving back. Open up your right arm to the sky. And you can look at that shoulder again if you need to reiterate that. And find the shoulder blades drawing together and the mid-spine moving forward. Exhale, release. Stand down into tabletop. Toes are tucked under. Inhale, cow. Exhale, dog. Take a few breaths here. See if you can shrug your shoulders towards your ears and turn your biceps under. So your biceps wrap around, down, and towards the middle. Inhale to tippy toes. Exhale to squat dog, pressing through that long spine. One more breath there. Pulling in the abdominals and the ribs, and then stretch the legs towards straight. Okay, you're going to walk your right foot forward just one step. And you're going to reach your right hand back. I take that back. You're going to reach your left hand over and across that right shin and hold on to it. So you might have to bend the knee. And as you grab that shin, pull it forward, but use your own body to pull the thigh bone back. And you'll automatically move into a little twist. So you want the shin forward and the thigh to ground back. Beautiful, release that. We're going to switch sides, so step back and then step your left foot forward. Take your right hand across to the outside of the left shin, a little bit of a twist. And we start to pull that shin forward as we try to pull the thigh backwards. And you just really learn that you've got levers in the body that you can help you move into places that are more optimal. Shins forward, thighs back. Beautiful. Exhale, back to dog. Take your feet as wide as the sticky mat and walk your hands slowly back. Bend your knees and hang over your legs. And now enjoy the breath again. So that 5 or 6 counts in, and I like to come up a little bit on the in-breath and roll down on the out-breath, inhaling. So I feel like there's some movement with the breath. Last one. From there, I bend the knees deeply, bring the elbows onto the knees. Look up, it looks like Utkatasana, like chair pose, but you're going to bring the thighs backwards. So see if you can feel them planting, rooting down towards the back of the socket. Keep them there, reach your hands forward and walk yourself back into downward facing dog. See if you can keep those thigh bones moving back to lengthen the spine. Inhale, tippy toes. Walk yourself slowly to the front of the mat, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Utkatasana, fierce pose. You press, you lift the heart. You keep those legs grounding down as you pull the heart up, and exhale, Tadasana. Beautiful. Inhale, fly, our Utthita Hastasana. And then exhale, bow forward to Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees. Take your right leg back to a straight leg lunge. Now, if straight leg lunge is hard for you, don't be afraid to drop your back knee to the floor. Either way, walk onto that front foot. And you press the hands down and isometrically traction them forward. Feel the core then pulling in. My right hand is going to go around to my right butt. So what happens, I notice in a lot of yoga classes, is that we squeeze that right butt down and we press that thigh bone forward, and pretty soon we get all these hip injuries. So instead, grab the booty, lift it up slightly, and pull that thigh bone back. The abdominals have to draw in. Now you can stay there and just breathe there, or you can try to keep that with the muscles of your body and extend your arms up overhead. Keep softening that back leg and trying to pull the booty apart. One drops under and one drops back. Beautiful, release it down. Rock it forward and back. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Take another breath here, just to catch up. We'll move into second side. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees. Take your left leg back to a straight or bent knee lunge. We're going to go for straight, but if bent is your way, be happy with that. Be kind to yourself. Walk your hands up onto your front knee. Push the hands down and forward so you activate abdominals. And just notice what happens to your thighs. Mine, by nature, like to push into the front of the socket. I hope you're different than me, but you may not be. The left hand comes onto the left booty and it gently lifts up and pulls back. So we just keep pulling that thigh bone into the back of the socket. If that works for you, you can just stay there and breathe and feel what that feels like. Or you can extend your arms overhead and see if you can do that with the muscles of your body. And release it on down. Step back to plank. Take a breath. So here's where we get to do variations. So if you want to go to the first one, drop your knee to the floor. If you want to go for a little more challenge, turn your right hand out, stack onto your outer right foot. You only have one. And then look at your right shoulder and pull it into the back of the socket. Maybe that's all you do. Grab the floor with your hand like you're squeezing a grapefruit and open your left arm to the sky. One more breath. Beautiful. And release that on down to second side. So we're going to turn the left hand out. We're going to step onto our outer left foot. Kickstand your right hand and look at that left shoulder. Pull it back. Pull it back into the back of the socket. Squeeze the grapefruit with your left hand. Open up your right hand to the sky. Find that reverse cleavage. Find the softening between the shoulder blades. Beautiful. And release that. Drop your knees to the floor. Grab a block and come into child's pose. Big toes touching, knees wide apart. And this time you're going to have a block for your head. So when I'm really stiff and tight, I actually put my block on its highest level. When I'm a little less stiff and tight, it goes down accordingly. But I'm going to put my forehead on the block. And I'm going to tuck my elbows into my knees. So forehead on the block, elbows into knees. As I press the elbows into the knees, I try to widen spread out my collarbones. So I want shoulder blades and collarbones to spread. You might notice there's a little residual spreading in the hips as well. And then not my head, so listen carefully. Using my neck, I lift the top and bottom edge of my neck equally to lift my head off the floor. And I keep working that until I feel that the top edge and the bottom edge of my neck are in line with the spine. It's as if my head is neutral. One more breath. And then release that on down. Take a cleansing breath. And if that feels now that your head is too high because you loosened it a little bit, go to the next level of your block. Yogi's choice. You're going to have to monitor that yourself. So elbows press into the knees, knees press back, and there's an isometric widening of collarbones and shoulder blades. We're lifting our head up, but only because the neck is active. So use the top edge and the bottom edge equally of the neck and lift it up until you feel like the neck is in line with your spine. And begin to notice how other parts of your body respond when you work that way. And you keep working until you feel like that neck is in the same extension as the spine. Last breath. And release. Take a cleansing breath. Relax in your child's pose. And take a big breath. And then from there, press down. You're going to cross your ankles and you're going to sit on through. So we're going to move into our shoulder stretch. Our legs are in front of us. Our feet are flexed. You're going to lift up your left hand, reach across the body until you get your outer right foot. My right hand goes like a kickstand out by my right hip. I'm going to shrug my left shoulder. I'm going to cat tilt using my abdominals, and then I'm going to accelerate that right leg. I can even lift it off the floor, and I repeat all those actions. So it's shrug with the shoulder, cat tilt with the belly, press through the left leg, and you'll feel a great stretch through the center of your shoulder blade. One more. Inhale, shrug. Exhale, cat. Inhale, press with that leg. Go for it. And release it down. Whew, thanks, Tina. Good one. I think we can all use that all the time. Flex your feet. Take your right hand, sweep it up, bring it across to the outer left foot. Kickstand your left hand so it's out by your left hip there. Shrug your right shoulder. Cat tilt your spine. And then exhale and press through that left leg like you're trying to straighten it. Shrug, cat, press. Shrug, use your breath here. You can use that 5-count breath. Cat, press. Let's do one more. Shrug, cat, press. Beautiful. And release. Whew, let's just cross our ankles here so that our legs are in Sukhasana, so they're crossed at the shins. Flex the feet and hinge forward at the hips. We'll just do a little hip stretch here. And if the block is handy here, you can work your crown toward, and towards is an important word in yoga. So it's important that we find the length in our spine, and remember it's the neck that lifts the head, right? So you can even do that work here, the pressing of knees against, or elbows against knees, the spreading of collarbones and shoulder blades, and the lifting of the neck. Last breath. Inhale, come on up. Let's go second side. So we'll take that left leg in front, crossing at the shins, karate chopping the feet, hinging forward to where you get to go. Be kind to yourself. Take your time to get into the pose. Breathe. Do your long, deep breathing. Elbows press into the knees and you open up collarbones and scapula. Doesn't matter if your head sits on the block. What matters is that the neck lifts up to be in line with the spine. And I always notice that my abdominals get more active when I do that. Beautiful. And release that. Let your block drop off to the side. You can either just scoot on through or you can swing your legs off to the side and come to tabletop. Okay, one more tabletop that's kind of fun. We'll work into it. So it's some good core work. So first we're in tabletop and we inhale the left arm in front of us. Now if you unplug it, you'll notice what that feels like, and then see if you can plug it back into its socket. So do that a couple times, reaching and plugging, reaching and plugging, reaching and plugging. Keep it plugged and stretch your right leg back and reach that and plug it in. So the reaching feels more like a cow tilt. It's subtle, and the plugging feels more like a cat tilt. Once you get both the arm and the leg plugged in, see if you can use your abdominals to stretch the spine. And release. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Second side. So inhale the right arm up. Unplug, plug it in. And this is done without bending the elbow. So it's just learning to articulate that whole right arm into its socket. Finish up with a plug and then lift your left leg up behind you and see if you can plug and extend. And just notice what happens with the way the hips rock when you do the plugging and unplugging. Finish with a plug and see if you can use your abdominals to stretch the spine. Beautiful. Release on down. Sit on back, Vajrasana, and just sparkle your hands and take a breath. There's a big long breath with a little suspended hold and then an exhale, release. All right, so we're going to take that same pose, but we're going to see if we can do it in plank. And if you can't do it, don't worry, it doesn't matter, we're just trying. It's not easy. So here we go in plank pose, or you stay back and you do bird dog just like we're doing. So you're going to come onto your left tippy fingers. You're going to stretch your right leg behind you. And that may be enough just to bring your abdominals in and to feel the plugging in. Everything into the core. If you feel like you can, lift up those fingers. from the floor, and see if you can balance. Woo! One more breath. Ah! And release it down. Drop your knees to the floor. Take a cleansing breath. Let's try second side. Here we go. Stepping back into your plank. Tippy fingers on the right hand. So you have like a kickstand. So you move into this gently. Lift your left leg. See if you can plug it in. Inhale. See if you can extend your right arm. And it doesn't matter if it's only for a few moments. Can you plug it in? Can you extend through the spine? Beautiful. Release on back. Sit on back this time with toes tucked under. Sweep your arms up overhead. Inhaling. Interlace your hands. Take your palms to the sky. Big stretch. And exhale. Release down slowly. Come to hands and knees. Cow. Exhale, cat. Beautiful. Inhale, cow. Exhale, downward facing dog. Exhale here. Let's just stay here for a few moments and see if you can plug into that shins forward, thighs back idea. So the knees never lock out. The shins drop, the top of the shins drop forward and the top of the thighs drop back. The belly and the ribs lift into the pose and the shoulders lift away from the floor. Last breath. Inhale to tippy toes. Walk your way to the front of the mat. Uttanasana. Bowing deeply. Ardha Uttanasana. Utkatasana. Pressing thigh bones back, lifting the heart. Come on up to standing. Exhale, release. Bring your hands into Samastihiti or prayer. And just pause for a moment and just notice how grounded you feel now. At least I hope that's true for you too. That you can feel the feet on the floor, the ankles are sturdy, the legs are strong coming up to support the back and the body and the mind and the heart. Beautiful. Let's move into tree pose. So we'll take it at the same way we did our meditation walking. So we're going to exhale and feel the weight onto our right foot. As we inhale, we bring the left leg up into the chest. And you could just stay here. This may be enough. And just notice if that thigh bone rode up. If it did, drop it down. And then find your ankle. And you can either bring your ankle to your shin or to your thigh, but not to your knee. Beautiful. And then the thigh and the foot, they squeeze together, and you use your abdominals to bring the thigh bones back. It's like they're just trying to use them to migrate towards the back edge of the body. The arms fly up overhead for a tree, and now we breathe 5 counts in. Find your drishti, find your gaze, pause until it's uncomfortable, and then exhale out. We've got 3 more of those. With a nice little pause and lift, and then an exhale. Inhaling. Let your eyes be steady. Last one. Release your hands. Release the foot. Take a moment to wiggle or move or breathe. Let's try second side. And there's no shame in tree pose of holding on to a chair or a wall or something of that nature. So exhale down into your left leg. Feel the weight there. And then inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold on to it. As you do, see if you can use your abdominals to drop your thighs back. And then grab your ankle if you want to bring it to the thigh. Otherwise, bring it down to the ankle or shin, just not the knee. If you're up at the thigh, the foot and the thigh squeeze together like an energy sandwich. It's like, whew. And then we inhale, the arms float up overhead. And we keep bringing the thigh bones towards the back plane of the body. And we find the gaze of our eyes steady. Find that breath with a pause and a long exhale. Two more. Gaze is steady. Beautiful. See if you can take it down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cleansing breath. Roll the shoulders. Beautiful. Back at the top of the mat. Bring your hands into prayer. Feel into the shapes of the body, the ground that's underneath you. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, release your hands. Inhale, fly. Exhale, dive. Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees. Take your right leg back to a straight leg lunge. This time we're going to anchor the back foot. And you're going to bring your left arm inside that left foot. So I'm going to have you look at it. I'm on tippy fingers, but you could also have a block if that reach is difficult for you. But whichever one you do, I want you to take your other hand, place it at the shoulder, and externally rotate it so that my fingers wrap around and I push that shoulder towards the knee towards the shoulder. Now keep that and open your right arm to the sky. Keep that and take your arm up overhead. And see if you can bring the shoulder blades together on the back. And bring the heart forward. Good. Beautiful. Release that on down. Look down at that front foot. Push strongly and come up to Warrior Two. Inhale, straighten the left knee. And we'll do a couple leg bends and straightens just so I can make sure that you're doing tracking properly. So you can always hold that front knee and track it right over the second and third toes. And do a couple of those, inhaling and exhaling. And as you do that, pay attention to your back leg. So the back leg likes to kind of rock forward. And I want you, as you bend, to pull it backwards. So it's opening the hips. Can you feel how it does that? That if it rocks forward, it's actually closing the hips. So open up the hips by bringing those inner thighs back and apart, and that thigh bone back into the back of its socket. Stay there this time. Soften the back knee so you can really pull that thigh bone back. Let your arms rise up in Warrior Two. And as you drive your front knee forward, drive your back heel back. And you'll get an extra special opening in the inner thigh. Last breath. Inhale. Bring that leg up straight. And this time, the hand goes to the knee and make sure it unlocks a little bit. And then it keeps going down. And again, if you need a block, it's there for you. And you can have it on the inside. You can have it on the outside. Whichever feels more comfortable. And just pause for a moment and see if you can use your own abdominals to send those thigh bones back into the back plane of the body. It's like a plug in and a sending back. And then that left hand either goes onto the block, the shin, the floor. You look at the shoulder and the shoulder moves back as you open your right arm to the sky. So those two shoulder blades work towards each other. And the heart moves forward and we breathe. Beautiful. We're going to just drop and bend that front knee. We're going to turn both feet straight forward and come into Prasarita Padottanasana, right between those two legs. The outsides of the feet are parallel to the short edge of the mat. And then just bow forward here. And you're going to notice a big difference between your left thigh and your right thigh. One has had an opportunity to stretch a little bit, the other not so much. So just take a big deep breath here. And a few more. You can drop the head down and let the weight of the head release the spine. If you used a block on the first side, make sure you have it, and you can turn it towards your right foot, and then you're going to walk over and you're going to turn that right foot out. So it's now pointed to the short edge of the mat, and readjust so that the heel of that front foot bisects the arch of the back foot. Good. And then you take your right arm, it's on the inside, and remember it can be on a block or fingertips, and the elbow and the knee are pressing together isometrically. And just take a moment and put your conscious awareness into the back leg. Is that thigh bone moving towards the front of the socket? If it is, move it back. And you can use your own hand on your opposite shoulder to externally rotate and press that arm back, and then open your left arm to the sky. Utthita Parshvanottanasana, side angle pose. Take a moment to use your own abdominals to bring the hips back and apart. Last breath. Beautiful. Look down at the front leg and press down to come up to standing. You can straighten the leg, and we'll just do a couple bendings. And you can put the hand on the knee, so you really guide that knee over the second and third toes. This is super important. But as you do that, take a notice on what's happening with that back thigh, because it generally likes to poke into the front of the socket. So as you bend, pull it back and then straighten. Bend. Get those muscles that work for kindness to the backs to move onto that thigh, to pull it back. Okay, the next one we're going to hold. So we pull it back, and then open your arms up into Warrior Two, and see if you can use your own abdominals to pull the thighs towards the back plane of the body. And you'll notice at some point that your booty gets more, kind of lifted and strong. And watch that front knee. Make sure it stays migrating over the second and third toes. Keep the back knee soft so that you can use your abdominals to pull those thigh bones back. And then inhale, come up to straight leg. Exhale, start to bring your right hand onto your knee, and then down to your shin or your ankle or a block or the floor, whichever one you do. Take your other hand and push. Rotate your shoulder and pull it back to the back of the socket. Soften your knees, take your thighs back into their sockets, and then open up your left hand for triangle, and see if you can let the heart move forward in the pose. Are you breathing those nice, long, steady breaths? Are you pausing at the end of the breath cycle to feel and then to release? One more breath. Beautiful. You're going to drop that left hand to the floor. You're going to walk to the left so you're in Prasarita. And once you find yourself pretty even, go ahead and bow deeply. Let the head hang so you get the stretch there. Take your hands, interlace them behind your back, and stretch your arms up overhead. All right. Release the hands. Come on up halfway. So I want you to really know this work in twists. So you're going to bring your left hand right underneath your face. You're going to extend your right arm straight to the wall to the left of you. To the right of you, sorry. Get my rights and my lefts mixed up. Now, the leg to pay attention to is your inner left thigh and that left leg. It's going to want to pop towards the front of the socket. You're going to use that left foot to drive that thigh back as you open your right arm to the sky. And pull in the abdominals. Keep that thigh moving back and use that strong leg, the left leg, to open you up into the twist. And release it. And take a cleansing breath. Let's try that second side. So right hand is right underneath your face. Left hand is pointing to the wall to the left of you. Notice right away that that right thigh likes to collapse inwardly. You're going to soften that knee and pull it out to the side as you open up. So you use the strength of the grounding, becomes really kind to your spine. Lift up your abdominals. Root back on that thigh to help you open. And release. And now turn your heels in. You can walk them in a little bit till you can bring your elbows onto your knees and just come into a nice little squat, and you can go left and right. It's not a full squat, it's kind of a wide squat. You can get into those inner thighs. Breathe. Good, we're going to come back into our prasarita, so swing those heels out. You might need to walk your legs a little farther. And now we're going to rock or walk over to the right knee as it bends. And then you're going to walk to the middle, straighten the legs. And then you walk over to the left knee as it bends. And you're going to push off of that to bring you to center and keep going. But I want you to put your attention on the opposite leg, because it's going to want to start to roll forward. And I want you to press it back as you bow and bend. So it's the opposite one that we're putting more of our focus on today. Because this will really clear your psoas muscles and really help you clear your back. Keep breathing deeply. One more each side. Becomes a practice of mindfulness. Come back to center. Rock down onto your knees. Vajrasana. Sit on back, hands into the lap, and just take a pause, take a breath. Let everything catch up. I think that's one of the ways we become very kind to ourselves, when we let ourselves catch up to all that's going on. Sometimes it gets so overwhelming and we just need to take a pause and come back to presence. Okay, we're going to return to our side plank pose. So if you need to just squeeze out your wrists or roll them a little bit, we are going to be doing a little weight balancing. And I'm going to be taking you into one more, a little bit challenging pose. So I'm going to offer you, so you can just watch if you want. I'll offer you some options. So I'll take you through the first option. I'll take you all the way up to the last option, and then we'll do it together. Okay, so you're on the length of your mat. You're going to step into plank. And if you want to do the first option, it's where your knee comes in and you make a tripod there. Your right hand turns out and you anchor your back foot. So that's the easiest form of side plank. And you're welcome to do that. That's good enough if that feels super kind to you today. If you want to go to the second version, you take your plank, you turn your right hand out, you come out onto your outer right foot, and you open it up. And then I'm going to offer you one more. I'm going to offer you tree pose. So you either kickstand your foot in front of you and then grab the ankle and stack it. See if you can bring it onto your inner thigh. They push together mightily, and that brings your hips up. And then you pull those shoulder blades back together like you're trying to do a reverse cleavage and let the heart come out. So that would be the final pose. But if you want to just stick with this knee down version, be my guest. Or if you have shoulders that are tricky, I want you to focus on that grounding and that grabbing of the hand. So you can grab like you're grabbing a grapefruit. The other hand can push back and just remind that shoulder to externally rotate and plug into the socket. Okay? I hope you're with me. So here we go. So we're coming into plank. We'll be on our hands and knees. You can take your right wrist and turn it out a little bit. So it's about 2 o'clock. And we're going to press up into plank. Now for this, I like to do a high plank. So normally I like the hips lower than my shoulders. If I'm going to go on, I'm going to do a high plank. And now is when you drop your knee to the floor if you want to do the first one. If you want to try the second one, you rock out onto the outer right foot. You can step across like a kickstand. And here's where you rotate and plug that shoulder into its socket. And then if you pick up your left ankle, you glue it to the inner thigh pushes back, and we squeeze and open up the heart for a side plank with tree. Beautiful. And release that on down and sit on back and swing out that wrist. I'm going to say you did a great job. Whatever it is that you decided to do today. So let's try that second side. And what I love about this pose is it just, especially with women, we just don't do a lot for our upper bodies. And so this just starts to build a little more confidence in that sense of our own heart and our own strength in our upper body. So here we go with plank. And if you're going to do the most remedial, now you drop your left knee to the floor. Otherwise, you turn you turn your left hand out and out onto your outer left foot. You can step across with your right foot, that's a kickstand, and you can stay there. That might be enough. Or you grab that ankle and you pull it up to tree. You squeeze the foot. They just glue, they squeeze together, and you open up that hand. Make sure that shoulder is rotated out and plugged in. And you breathe, and you feel like a star when you do these poses. One more breath, thighs to the back plane. And exhale, release. Drop your knees to the floor, wiggle out your hands, and you can tell yourself congratulations. That's a pretty challenging pose. Fun to try on a Friday, end the week with a bang. We're gonna bring our block and come onto our backs. Have a strap handy and have a couple blankets handy because we're gonna end up in a restorative pose. So have 2 blankets ready in half pillow fold. So remember, this is pillow fold, and half pillow fold, you go the long way. So you got 2 long half pillow folds. But those are just going to tuck off to the side for a moment. You're going to come onto your backs with your block. Your block's going to come underneath your sacrum. And you get to just arrive here for a moment. You can place your hands on your belly and just breathe. Beautiful. All right, we're gonna hug left knee into the chest. We're gonna extend right leg out. You can peek at it, so curl up, peek at it. Make sure you can see your toes, they're not too low. And then pick up the belly as you stretch that left knee to the chest and the right heel away from you. I like this with the block because it's more likely to keep your pelvis neutral. One more breath, hugging and stretching. And then as you exhale, bring that right knee in and just switch your hands over onto that right knee. Extend the left leg out. I like to peek up here and make sure I can see those toes. And then I stretch the right knee to the chest and extend through the left heel. And breathe. Couple more. Beautiful, big, long breaths, even with a pause at the top. Beautiful. Bring your left knee into the chest and just hug it. The block will help give you like a little more extreme curl. Get into that low back a little bit. Beautiful. Release your feet to the floor. Take your hands out in T. Walk your feet wide on the sticky mat and let your knees drop in. This is called constructive rest, and it's a great pose for just really settling. But here's a great addition for the shoulders. You inhale your arms straight overhead. You cross, so left arm crosses over right, and then you just reach around like you're going to try to grab your own shoulder blades, but you don't. You just let them rest. And you'll get a little minor stretch through the back when you do that. You might even feel a little bit through the front of the shoulders, and you just try to rest and relax. See what energy you can let go, what holding pattern you can let go of. This pose was coined by a woman named Lulu Swigard, who was really interested in efficient movement and efficient rest, how our bodies could rest deeply when we were at rest and move efficiently so that we held our effort, we didn't use so much effort, that things were just a little more fluid and easeful. And this pose was one of her go-to poses for the ultimate resting pose. One more breath here. And then inhale, unravel your arms and just do a little switch. So put the other arm on top and then let your hands drop down. Where can you let go of tension? Where can you be kinder to your experience? Let your eyeballs start to drape down towards the backs of your sockets. Couple more breaths, letting go as much as you can. Big deep breath as you gently release out of the pose. Square off your feet again so your sitting bones are, your heels are sitting bone distance apart. Reach your left knee towards your chest and take it up into the sky. And here you can just let your hand rest on the top of your thigh and let gravity draw you down into a stretch. And it's nice because we're supported here, so we don't have to do as much effort. And usually the stretch happens a little bit more readily. Tap in to the feeling of your right thigh and see if it's popping forward. If it is, drop it back. And if your hands they can rub the back of the hamstring. Give it a little massage, even the back of the knee, and back of the calf. One more breath. And gently release. That foot to the floor. Take a cleansing breath. Let's try second side. So bringing that right leg in, hugging it, extending it. And the block is helping you because it's already turning that pelvis under a little bit so that you're not having to stretch the hamstring quite so much. If the hands go on the back of the thigh, just give them a little rub. Give your hamstrings a little massage. especially if there's a place that's tight or sore. Give it a little love and kindness. Back of the knee, back of the calf. One more big stretch, letting gravity help you. And then gently release that leg on down. You're going to press your hips up off the block, and you just take a moment to sweep that block out, and then to bring your hands underneath you, to roll your shoulders underneath you, and just to feel that stretch of the shoulders. You can very gently look left, and you can very gently look right. Now, if we're full weight bearing, I would say don't do this. But here, you can just gently look left and right and get a little stretch for your neck. And then release those hips down. Take your right foot and place it in the center of the mat, the left leg on top. Step into the right foot and swing the hips to the left and place them back down. Bring the knees a little closer, it's only an inch or two, to the chest, and drop them off to the right. And take a nice little twist here. Seeing if you can rest your shoulders back on the mat. Big deep breaths in. Remember that long 5.5 count breath. The little pause at the top for integration. Beautiful. Use your abdominals to support you as you bring those knees back up. And then unravel the legs. Even yourself out. Take your left foot into the center of the mat. Take the right leg over the top. Press down, lift up, scoot your hips to the right, and drop your knees to the left, bringing your knees up just an inch or two. And then see if you can rest your shoulders back. And breathe. Find that long count breath. You're really slowing yourself down here, bringing yourself back down to earth. Find a little pause if you can to find the length through the spine before you let go again. One more breath. Beautiful. Use your abdominals to support the belly as you bring the legs up and unravel them. We're going to roll right to our side again and bring in our half pillow folds, which are now stacked one over the other. So we get a nice little bolsterish platform here. I'm going to take my strap and I'm going to make sure that it has a little loop in it, or a big loop. I'm going to make that loop small. My loop is kind of big. And I'm going to put my legs through it. And that's just here so that you don't have to do any effort. So you're going to bring them up to the very center of your thighs and then cinch them in. If you're ever a horseback rider, you want to have them, fairly tight. And then you scoot up so that you're against those blankets and you just lay back down. You might have to move around a little bit until you're comfortable. You want the blanket to be supporting the lumbar spine, and you can take the feet wide. And that strap is just there so you don't have to hold your legs at all. I'm making a little pillow with my blanket, my top blanket, and I'm just going to rest back. And this is now a back bend, so it's really kind for our upper bodies, neck and shoulders, as it helps us to open up the chest muscles. And if you can imagine that the head of the arm bones can fall down now. See if you can let them go. And your job is to breathe that 5-count breath in, maybe even a little holding there at the top of the breath, and then the 5 counts out. And you can be here for as long as you like. We've got about 4 more minutes left. So if at any point this starts to lack comfort, it starts to feel a little bit torturous, then you want to come out of the pose and take Shavasana. Otherwise, you can stay here as long as you'd like in this pose. Eventually you want to let the breath settle, and so that you're not counting it anymore. With each out breath, you want to let any tension fall down onto earth. Begin to deepen the breath and this pose, and we'll finish off this pose with another poem from Nayyirah Waheed. I hope I'm saying her name right. I love myself, the quietest, simplest, most powerful revolution ever. And just a reminder that our yoga practice should be one of kindness and gentleness. We want to build strength, we want to build fire, but we want to do it in ways that are safe and thoughtful and attentive to how we feel. So from here, we just gently stretch. You're going to find your way back up to sitting. Take your time. Imagine you're waking up from a long nap and you just come out carefully. Your body's been in a lot of different shapes today. As you're ready, make your way up to sitting, and we'll meet in Sukhasana with hands in prayer. And we take this, the last part of our practice, to give thanks that we can come to such an important practice. We're so grateful that we have this space and time in our lives and people and teachers to practice with. Thank goodness for technology during the quarantine. Take a moment to share some of that gratitude, to send it out into a world that's hurting right now. And we seal that with a breath and an Om together. Namaste. Thanks for bringing your practice to your mat. If you have any thoughts, thank you so much for the feedback at the